Yeah.
Yes.
so I'll be there.
Is Jeff?
Jeffrey calling Thursday night.
Okay, we're good.
Farmington.
Okay, folks, we're gonna call our meeting to order.
Yeah.
Thank you for attending. People in the gallery. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Jeff Lyon,
I'll second it.
Councilor Elderkin. Any additions or deletions? Okay, I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented. We did that. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary mind. In none, carried. Conflict of interest declarations, no one. Public presentations. We give you 2 minutes to speak about what subject you're on, and at the end of the meeting, as the clerk said, you'll be time to ask a couple of questions. With that, Mr. Tuck.
Yeah. Where do I just stand here?
Stand there, yes, sir.
I'm a talker, so it takes me 2 minutes to introduce myself. I was just made aware of this last night when a neighbor asked me to come and try to understand what's going on in terms of the big picture, so I'll try and squeeze what I can in 2 minutes. By way of introduction, my name is Dave Tuck. I live at Curryville, New Brunswick, population of 104 plus or minus. I'm a retired senior, former employer and a businessman. And my political interests are federal. I'm not really understanding of this different layer that's taking place. But I'm a trusting person, and I'm trusting that it's being done fair and effective. The neighbor that did stop by last night claims he does understand how this operates. So I'll just go with him as a guideline at this point in time. But he did explain to me, which I found quite disturbing, that I was going to get imposed on me extra taxes. And again, that's not something a senior wants to hear. And as far as the provincial taxes that I pay, most of my needs are satisfied. Snow removal, maintenance on the roads, this sort of thing. So once again, I don't completely understand what you folks are responsible for or not, so perhaps we can get to that later. But I just want to indicate that I support both villages. I live equidistant to the Riverside Albert and to here. I buy all my gas here. I get all my vehicle maintenance done here. I buy all my groceries here. I support a local restaurant. And I have my own water in and out. So I guess my question to you folks here tonight is if there's gonna be extra taxes imposed on me, what exactly do I get for my money? And I'd like to restrict it to where I live at this point. I live in Curryville, so I'm interested in what Curryville will have to, there's another gentleman here from Curryville just walked in the door, so I don't mean to make waves, I'm just trying to find out what's going on. Seniors don't like more taxes, and I'd just like to know what exactly am I getting for the money?
Well, look, a quick statement, I guess I can do that now, is that when the province mandated regionalization on us, and we're one village from Lower Coverdale to Alma and surrounding areas, Baltimore, in the backcountry, I call it, but when that happened, what we call shared services, the activity center in Alma and a couple other buildings, the arena in Hillsborough, the rec center in Riverside Albert, all became part of the village.
Okay.
So that's the shared services that people are concerned about. You pay a portion of that in your tax bill.
Well, right now I just pay provincial tax.
That's correct.
So you're saying this is gonna be another layer?
No, it's in there.
Oh, it's already in there.
It's in there. That's
So
correct.
it's not an
And it's-
increase then?
Well, we're doing everything we can. We're working on budgets right now is to go with a 0 increase for
Wow.
this
I didn't know
2026.
that. Good sales pitch, though.
No, it's just facts. That's the way it is.
Mayor,
You know,
it might be a good idea to mention how the taxes, what responsibility we have as opposed to the province in terms of assessments and the rates, just for Mr. Tuck to understand.
I'm not sure I can explain it properly, but.
Maybe our CAO if.
Well, a portion of your taxes, of course, go to the provincial government for, health, education, it pays for not just here, but education all over the province, right? So you could also consider that a shared service almost, when your taxes go to, you're paying, hospital taxes or health taxes for a hospital in Moncton, right? That goes to support those folks. So that's kind of where that provincial portion comes from. Now, the municipal portion, of course, comes from, because we are one village now, and there are,
I didn't know
yeah,
that
you're,
explains a lot.
yeah, and that's, and again, as the CIO here, we've been working toward getting to a 0% increase. And I'm not really sure where all the rumors are coming from that there's gonna be a tax increase, because no one has said that at all. So that's kind of where I'm a little stupefied, I guess, because I don't understand how that information's getting laid to people, and it's not.
Well, it's out there, just.
It's misinformation.
I'm just a listener.
Lay off Facebook.
Yes.
You'd be all right. Don't live longer,
But you have some sort of a timeline on this in terms of trying to get this to zero? I mean, are you looking at 6 months?
We hope to be within the next two weeks.
Yeah, we've got a mandate by the government to have our budget submitted by November 15th. I'm probably gonna drag that out for 2 weeks, to November 30th, just so that we can do the proper amount of, because I know it's very important for council to do consultations, so that's what happens. And there'll be consultations, and they'll be announced in the next probably week. I said this week probably, so.
And the consultations, just to add to that, are public consultations.
Yes.
So it's open to all of Fundy Albert to come and see what the budget that has been presented and what we will be voting on eventually.
I mean, like voting on you folks here?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that gives me a lot of info. You're pretty good too in 2 minutes. Well, thank you. Well, it gives me a lot more insight. I was more or less led to believe that, imposed new taxes has been something anybody likes to listen. I just.
Absolute
What am I
misinformation.
getting from that?
If I may jump in, David,
Sure.
if you have any concerns, call your representative in your ward.
Yeah.
Okay, or call the office and ask them. That way it shuts up whatever's on Facebook, whatever's out on the street,
Yeah.
because it is all misinformation. Because we have all sat around the table and all of us wanted 0 this year
Yeah.
because of certain things that are happening. And I don't know where this has come from, and it
Well,
doesn't matter. We need to just put it to bed and move on and make the right decisions.
Well, just so you know, when I retired, I shot my cell phone twice, so I don't do.
Perfect, good for you.
So this came.
You want my cell phone?
I've got no travel there. So, but,
All right.
that explains a lot too, as well, so I'm grateful for that, so. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Your wealth of knowledge now, Tommy.
Uh,
I'm available for. Yeah, I mean.
David? You're up.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to speak again. I'm not gonna talk about tax increase. You guys already said there's not gonna be one this year. That's why my subject matter, I did have the email you got, Jeff, that's an overall summary. Really about shared services and the discussion about the reallocation of shared services, because when we talked very early on, this is my 4th time around. Public Works was not gonna be part of shared services. That's the way it was sold to us way back. We had that discussion year after year after year. It seems to me, although there's gonna be a 0% this year, if we allow further transgression of shared services to the LSDs, then next year, when we go to do our taxes again, all of a sudden 70% of the people outside of the municipalities are gonna be paying for an increased amount of shared services, basically relabeling some public works as shared services, so. That's what I wanna make sure. There's also a discussion tonight about the truck. It's a public works asset. You were never supposed to pay for public works. It's a town forming municipality thing. The province set when they set that thing out, they gave us a big tax increase out in the LSDs, but that wasn't your guys' fault, like, you guys handed me a bag of poo, we had that conversation before, right? But then there was another year of massive increases on the LSDs, we've already paid, and last year, we paid a little bit, but again, the municipality's been on tax holiday all 3 years. So we're all gonna get a tax holiday this year, but let's remember that the municipalities have been on a tax holiday since this all began, right? So when you guys are looking at this, you know, we've already paid. We shouldn't be paying anymore. That's pretty much what I gotta say about that. I hope you guys can hold the line this year. With to finally get the reviews that you needed to actually make a decision, right? I know that that's really hard. Be an administrator and do a budget, but you don't have all the facts, right? All I'm saying is, guys, stop pushing stuff out to the LSDs every time you need money. Really, thank you so much for your time.
No, I appreciate you and calm, and that's important to us, some people.
Honest, you know, yelling and screaming
It's
and.
not gonna do anything. Did you break it?
I might have.
Very well, but.
But
That's a shared service.
again, every one of us are in the same boat in this room. We're all paying the shared services.
Agreed.
Yes, I live in Riverside, Albert, and our tax rate went down. I understand that, but we're still. I'm
Mine's up
still,
32%, Jim.
yeah,
The rate, just the rate.
Yeah.
If you take into account the last 3 years of 10%
So you're-
assessments,
that's
I'm up
without
over
the
50%.
increase in your property assessment.
that is my property assessment is 10% a year. The tax rate is 32% so far. Right, so I'm in net 62% in my taxes, and that's just my property tax, which pays for the stuff we're talking about. That's not my provincial income tax or my federal
No.
income tax, which pays for a whole bunch of other stuff. Hopefully it gives you guys money back. Hopefully.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying, guys.
Yeah.
It's like we can't, we're already so far beyond what we should be paying for. Right, for what we do. And look around at the other municipalities, what they're doing. Please.
We're
for
trying,
you.
we are trying, every one of us,
I know you can.
because I pay the same as you do, well, not quite. I'm paying.
Well, we do almost now.
We all know what to do now, yeah, that's right, I looked again today to be sure. All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Sean?
Like you see now, I didn't need to speak because Dave covered most of it. But no, I'm Sean McGrath from Lower Coverdale, so full disclosure on that. So you know.
Hillsborough LSD.
You guys all know me pretty well, I've spoken before. The comment earlier about there being stuff on Facebook about increases, I don't know where that comes from either, because I haven't seen it. What I can say is, you know, I've been sitting here for the past several years and through budget deliberations as well. And we have, cards on the table. From Lower Coverdale standpoint, at least.
Yeah.
And probably the other LLCs, but I can speak for Lower Coverdale residents. We're really looking, in those previous years, we've challenged the shared services allocations as disproportionately unfair. And, there's debate back and forth on whether we're right or whether we're wrong. What I can tell you is that's what we're feeling in Lower Coverdale. That it has always been, since amalgamation, and then compounded since, those allocations, we believe, are unfair, are overreaching in their scope. Particularly for Lower Coverdale because of the proximity from a lot of those amenities that we don't use. So just to be brutally honest, we have been and still are really looking for shared cost, shared services allocation reform. So I would just, I would hope that going forward, that we're not stacking on and there's dangerous precedents that can be set. We've already come this far. Well, now if we say, well, because we're paying those shared services, let's pile on some public works because they deal with some of those amenities. It's a pretty slippery slope, right? And if we let that go too far, where does it end, right? We've already been hit Dave's, Hillsborough 32%. We're at what, 29%?
29.
That's to date, right? Hopefully 0% is great, but I think, you know, I'm still gonna be sitting here scrutinizing shared services, and I hope you do too. That's really all I wanted to say.
Okay. Any comments? All right, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Information items, 5.1, development activity report, plan 360.
I don't really have anything to speak of on the information items, they're just shared for information sharing only. I'll try to answer questions if anyone has questions regarding the development activity report provided by Plan 360, the Maritime Bylaw Enforcement Services report. The NBSPCA quarterly report, as well as the review of Hillsborough, Riverside, Albert, Elma Fire Department quarterly reports.
And they're all online.
They're all online, yeah.
I have one question, please. The unsightly premises, can you remind me again? When a Form 4 is issued, exactly what stage that is? When I was reading through it, I'm like,
Yes, so bylaw enforcement services, the officers like to educate people and they give them first, second, third warnings. If they're not meeting their deadlines that are
Right.
set. And then, if they do not comply with what's in the letters, then they issue a Form 4. So then it gets registered with the province, with the land registry folks in St. Stephen. And then we get quotes to do cleanup and then discuss it with council on how to proceed.
so that's like the final.
That's the
That's the
final
last
stage.
straw.
That's the last
Okay,
straw.
that's what I kind of thought.
That's what we don't
Through,
want. We don't like Form 4s.
but, okay. No, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, good. Council direction request flag policy 6.1.
So that is me. I do have notes on that. It's a moment, please. I really don't have my notes. Okay, flag policy. So the proposed flag policy establishes clear and consistent standards for displaying, half-masting, and flying special occasion flags on municipal properties. It does designate specific flag locations, outlines procedures, community flag requests. The adoption of the policy will ensure transparency, consistency, and respect in all municipal flag practices. The noted change is the existing flag poles located at the Artisan Village it would be requested to have them relocated here to the municipal building. And then the Acadian flag in Riverside, Albert at the monument, fly it all year rather than 3 months. The only reason that's being proposed is if it gets forgotten, if it's just 3 months out of the year, so. Anybody have any questions?
No, but you addressed mine because I think the Acadian flag thing, I think somewhere there was an agreement that it would fly for a certain time frame as opposed to all year.
There was a motion made, I think in 23 that was made to fly it for 3 months, but I don't know of any other agreement. Is
Yeah.
that the agreement? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
agreement. And
Okay.
before that, I think it was only for a month or two and then it was reformed to 3 months. So it's just something we may wanna
Yeah, that,
follow the motion that's already made or
fly it all year.
And then Councillor, Latour Island, down in St. John, they have a very similar setup and they fly their flag all year round. It's just easier.
But if council does want to go back to the old motion, that was made, we can absolutely add that. So.
Street light policy.
So that's me again. The proposed Fundy Albert Streetlight policy provides a clear and consistent framework for the installation, management, and cost sharing of streetlights. Defines service levels, approval processes, and rules for administration and councils. This policy does introduce a formal request and petition process to ensure fairness, transparency, and fiscal accountability in addressing resident and safety needs.
Question on that.
no, I think it's very clear.
surplus land and land acquisition policy.
So that's me again. So the proposed policy establishes clear and transparent procedures for acquiring and disposing of municipal lands in compliance with the Local Governance Act. It defines how lands are identified, evaluated, sorry, I can barely speak, and declared surplus, and it introduces disposal methods such as direct sale, public solicitation, by invite solicitation, not-profit housing projects. The policy also includes a reversion clause to protect municipal interests and directs at least 50% of land sale revenues towards housing initiatives or reserve funds. And adoption of this policy ensures fairness, accountability, and alignment with council's strategic priorities for housing, transparency, and community development.
Anything on that? No?
Just,
Yeah.
just one thing for me, sorry, the revenues from land sales be reinvested strategically into a minimum 50% directed towards housing.
Yes.
Is that a norm up there? Is that why it's in the policy, or is that coming from a suggestion from administration?
No, that, when I was doing my research on with other municipalities, they do have, that's only if land is being sold for economic development or affordable housing, that 50% of the net proceeds would go into a housing fund.
Or it could go to reserves.
Yes and no, it depends on why they're selling the property.
It wouldn't be up to council to say which way to go.
No.
Okay, so explain that again, please.
So if there's a piece of land that's going to be sold for, I don't know, for
20,000.
senior, for affordable housing, seniors. 50% of that money that we sell the property for would go into a housing reserve fund for future developments down the road. If council wants to look at, having a not-for-profit senior complex in Baltimore, for example, they could purchase a piece of land with that money. Yeah.
No, appreciate that. I seen it in there, so I didn't know, because once it's in the policy, it's pretty well locked in stone, right? That that's what it's going for? That's why I wondered if it was the normal in municipalities in the province, or is it something that's more beneficial to other municipalities than us here in Fundy Albert?
So again, just with research in other municipalities, they do have that housing reserve fund, but if this council wants to just have the option of going into a general operating reserve. Or I could change the wording that either or, like they have the choice, because we don't have such a thing right now, right? We don't
Right.
have
We don't have any nonprofit housing.
no, and we don't have a fund for that, but it
Right.
may be something down the road that
That would be
an
my,
option.
that would be my suggestion, just put it in reserves, because we're not set up with that yet.
Yeah.
And it would be up to council's decision what they want to do, if it is revenues coming back to us. Well, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Or you.
It's, we can have some more
Yeah.
communication on that.
Shared portion of public works employees free.
I'm missing the EMO bylaw.
Sorry, Ian Paul, skipped over that.
That's all right. So EMO bylaw, the proposed bylaw establishes a unified emergency management framework for Fundy Albert under the Emergency Measures Act and Local Governance Act. It does replace outdated bylaws from the former villages of Elma, Hillsborough, Riverside, Albert, ensuring consistent authority and coordination across the municipality. And this bylaw does define rules for council, emergency measures coordinator, the committee. It does set procedures for declaring a state of local emergency and authorizes mutual aid agreements. It has been prepared in consultation with NBEMO. Also, I did send it to the EMO committee. And it does strengthen community safety and leadership during emergencies. Does anybody have any questions?
You have any questions, Jim? Sir? Now 6.5.
All right, so during budget preparation, it's an essential to distinguish between shared and non-shared expenses to recommend an appropriate and equitable tax rate. So I'm looking for council's direction to how they want to handle public works wages and expenses along with fleet. Because unlike other bigger municipalities, we do not have a parks and recreation department. So a lot of tasks that each department like that would carry, are carried out by our public works team. I've given examples of where our work plan gives a round estimate. Yeah, I'm just looking for some council direction to be able to go through this part of the budget in my preparations.
So for me, I still have a few outstanding questions.
Okay.
So I'm not quite understanding where the percentages are coming from. First of all, the work plan indicates that 40% of public works, workshops, yards, and other buildings is 40% of public works. But in the budget that was presented, two of the employees get billed to 90% to utilities. So I think that for me, I need exactly with, and I don't know if I'm gonna word this right, so don't put it on social media when I don't. So my understanding is we do timesheets now. That was implemented a few months ago. So from those timesheets, does it clearly identify where these public works are spending their time? Because, you know, I appreciate what Mr. Knickle said about having the facts to make the decisions. And I appreciate where the LSD areas are coming because I represent a partial LSD area. I also represent a partial village center. But if we don't know where they are and what they're doing, wages is our biggest expense in Fundy Element. And we need to have the facts in order to make the decisions. So from these timesheets, can it be clearly identified where they're spending their time? And the questions that I'm receiving is, as you know, and I think I've discussed it at the last meeting, I want a 0%. I agree, Riverside, Albert clearly has not had a tax rate. Our little village of 200 paid for these shared services before. So when Amalgamated started, the way I understood it, there was some funding that came that kept our tax rate a little bit lower or kept it the same because there was more people sharing in the shared service. That's the way I understood it. So any revenue gets shared. So that's why the question has been asked. Well, if the revenue is getting shared and I'm just using this as an example, the Riverside Albert Rec Center gets sold tomorrow. It doesn't benefit the village center. It benefits all of Fundy Albert. So the question by my constituents was, why are we sharing revenue if we're not sharing expenses? Which was a valid question. That's why I brought it forward. I'm not saying I want the LSDs to pay any more. That's not my intent. That's not my thing. But I do agree with what Mr. Knickle said, is that we have to have the facts in order to make the right decisions. And we're missing a lot of factors here in order to move forward. So the small discussion that we had on one Saturday turned into a frenzy. But the bottom line is we never even got to what the tax rates are. So when we make suggestions or there's recommendations from administration, we need to know what the effect is going to be on the tax rate. And we're not getting that information. So we can say, let's move 100,000 of salaries over to shared services. If we did that, what's the outcome? If we left it with utilities, what's the outcome? I can tell you right now, the outcome for Riverside Albert Utility is my budget has gone up $160,000 from last year. We don't have any more services than what we ever had, but $160,000 surplus or an advance or a gain on 230 residents is a big chunk. So I really think where I'm coming from is I need the facts in order to make the decisions. And 40% here and 60% there and 90% here. And that's why I asked the question on that one Saturday was 90%. You know, you want to charge our utilities 90% of salaries. tell me that they are actually spending 90% of their time doing water and sewer repairs and cleanup in the former villages. And I feel the same about the shared service. I'm not saying it should be shared, I'm not saying it shouldn't be shared. I'm just saying I need to have the facts in order to make the decision. So that's my 2 cents on the shared service.
50 cents, go ahead, Darby.
So, just to Councillor Elderkin's point, and this is directed, to our treasurer. So the two, resources that are showing is 90% for the utilities of where they're spending their time, and therefore, the cost of their wages is being put, or billed to utilities. Would it be an accurate statement then to say that the additional 10% to make up, 100% of their time is within this 40%, within the recommendation? An accurate statement. So if 90% of their time is being spent on utilities, then the other 10% is in this calculation of that 40% for public works. Would that be correct? I guess.
Would be, I think like the 60-40 kind of look through based on last year's, well, this year's work plan, I guess I should say. It's basically just looking at time that was allotted to work on all public work stuff. So I mean, obviously, sidewalks, things like that, those are not an LSD expense. That is a village center expense. But the time that kind of was left in those hours that is spent on, cleaning facilities, working on trails, that kind of item would be your shared portion.
Okay.
And it doesn't include travel. So we kind of took travel out of the split because it's not.
Not technically for that, okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is not to second guess either of you about those numbers, because I don't want to veer away from this, because what we're talking about right now is the actual, shared services for public works and the fleet expenses. But that 90% for those two resources that is being allocated to the utilities, to Councillor Elderkin's point, for the former village of Riverside, Albert, there's an increase, potential increase of 160,000. And, on 200 ratepayers, that's a lot. That's a huge increase. That's, probably about $200 per year. So that's huge.
Quarter.
The quarter. So the former village of Alma, it's similar. It's 111,000. So my question is there any way that our staff could go back and say, do these 90% allocations make sense? And is there any way that we can make some efficiencies? Because if those numbers are correct, then that must be different from the previous fiscal year. Because that increase from what we've seen preliminary budget numbers is that it's coming from the administration. So it's coming from the actual people that are servicing those utilities. So that's what I would ask. I'm not looking for an answer. The other question specifically related to this would be this 40%. So it says review work plan indicates that 40% of public works employees' time is dedicated to maintain shared services or shared facilities, and 24% of the fleet is being utilized for this purpose. So I guess the direction here from staff is during the budget preparation, it is essentially distinguished between shared and non-shared expenses to recommend an appropriate and equitable tax rate. I agree with that statement, and we do have residents here that are concerned about what that may mean to where they live. So I understand that concern. I guess my question would be, the current budget or the last budget that was approved, where were these numbers being billed to? Were they being billed currently as a shared service to all wards, to all parts of the community? Or is it different now? Obviously it's different, but how is it different now to what this recommendation is?
So in the past, I think when we started Bundy Albert, so I had no part of the 23, but in part of 23, part of the expenses was shared employees that would work on shared facilities.
Yep.
I think I guess the question probably should have been asked last year. I think we've had some debate on it last year, but just for easiness of reporting, we kind of put all our works employees together. And we never did hire another staff, so we kind of eliminated that.
Okay,
Um,
so where is that being billed from, on the budget right now? Where are the employees? Are they being billed as a shared service, which includes the accounts that would also affect the other wards? Or is it mainly they're being billed to the former villages, so Hillsborough, Riverside, Elbert, and Elm? Or is there a differentiation?
so currently in this year's budget, all public works, staff and all equipment. Are being paid for by the village centers.
Okay, okay, so the recommendation going forward would be that it becomes a shared expense.
For some of it, yes.
Yes, okay, for the, that's right, for the,
Yeah, for
the
Discussion
percentages.
purposes.
That's right, discussion purposes, this is not something that's gonna happen, but this was the recommendation, okay.
it's partly a recommendation, it's partly. As administration, this is not, I can't make this decision for council, this is
No,
a
I
council
understand.
decision.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to prepare a tax rate, once I get all my expenses in, for the province for some of them. I wanna be able to present council with, their requests, and that is. A zero tax rate increase.
Yeah.
So it's just to be able to distinguish, if this is a decision that council wants to see, this is what you wanna do, then I come back and say with other recommendations. So these shared services we may have to eliminate or cut. So it's just part of my process. I wanna make sure before we're in the middle of a meeting and this takes us a squirrel hit, and I wanna be able to come in that, we all come in that meeting and we have these decisions of how you want it to be shared and made, and then we can have active, go through the budget and have your tax rate that you guys wanna see at the bottom. So that's my goal.
Okay, thank you, that answers my question.
Yeah.
Just have a couple questions, if it's all right. You've got your worksheets from your employees of what they've been doing for the last 5 months, probably 5 to 6. I think you need to get through and review them and see where they're putting their time and document it. Put graphs, line it up, so you know exactly where they are, and that will give us a better idea of where they are and what they're doing. Cause you could guess at 40%, you can guess at 90%, but you're not gonna be correct. Right? So that was, I think, the purpose of that when you started in, which is great, but we need to look at that and set the scale to see where they actually are all the time. And then the second part of my question is, when we do budget deliberations and there's a wish list and there's wants and there's needs, I would like to see also at the bottom of that list what it does to our rate changes in our municipalities, in our LSDs, the whole thing. So Ward 4 is at 58.99. With all these changes, it goes to 52 or it goes to 62. I think we should see that as we're working through it. And that way we have a better idea of where we gotta move it and how we can move it to make it stay where it is. Cause I think there's enough. I think we need to streamline our operation, because I think we're wasting some serious money in Fundy Island.
Yep.
We're going up and down the road.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of things, and that's not pointing fingers at nobody. This is a growing problem that the province laid down us 3 years ago, and we haven't corrected yet, in my opinion. But it needs to be corrected and we can start working towards that.
Mhm.
So I'm not putting no blame on nobody or whatever, but I think there's a lot of fat in the system that needs to be trimmed out a little bit. And then if we wanna buy a new truck for $80,000, well, it might already be in the budget, but we just streamline something else. In our own personal budgets, we have needs and we have wants.
Mhm.
The needs come first, the wants are on the backside. And I think the municipality needs to focus a little bit more on that going forward. I see the warrant money's up a little bit this year. We don't know what the 23 budget yet is. So we don't know if we got a surplus coming $10 or $100,000, right? So it's gonna be hard for us to make any decisions until that stuff is on in front of us. We did it last year, we lucked out. This year coming, that budget needs to be done, so we know it's coming back to us. And it gives us a better idea of what we're doing going forward. Because at the end of the day, it's their money, with our money that runs this place,
Mhm.
and we need to be cautious of what we're doing.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have,
Go
may I
ahead.
have one more comment? The other thing that I forgot to mention is 24% is the recommendation for fleet to shared services.
Mhm.
And it was a recommendation to charge utilities 30% of the fleet.
Mhm.
So that's 54% of the fleet accounted for. Where's the fleet the rest of the time? And I appreciate the fact that it didn't include travel, but somebody's paying for travel. The utility, the shared, the village center, doesn't matter who it is, but not to include it.
No. I'm sorry to cut you off, Councilor Looking, it doesn't, when it accounts to employees' time spent, there wasn't accounting in 60/40. But what it was accounted for was in the cost of equipment. It was accounted for, the travel was.
Okay, so why not account for in both? Their time is their time. Anyway, the vehicle, so 24 is recommendation here is for shared. 30% is recommended for the utility, which is only 54%. So our fleet is somewheres unaccounted for.
So that remaining amount would be your work scheme. When they're working on works equipment. Well, not works equipment, but when they're,
So you see where I'm coming from, though, about a little more detail of exactly, we need to have the facts to make the decision. And as much as it's easier to say it's village center or it's shared, that's not the case. Because it's village center, it's shared, and it's 3 water and utilities. So all of that together is where we have to come up with this budget, because they're all tied in together. What you charge utility is cross-referenced with the general operating. So those are the things, and I do agree with Councillor Land, we don't have the facts yet from 2023. And I'm guessing there's a slim chance we're gonna have the numbers from 2024 before we yet do another budget. So we're making decisions again without all the facts, and I think it's time as a council, we get the facts before we make the decisions.
Agree.
may I add,
Yeah.
just to go forward, what kind of facts do you guys as council want to see to be able to make this decision?
I
And
think
feel comfortable with it?
I think I was very clear. I need to know where our staff are.
Staff are, okay,
As we said in our general discussion on Saturday. You know, when I looked at, and I'm just gonna pick at Riverside Albert, because that's what I'm familiar with, but I did go back and look at Hillsborough, and I did go back and look at Alma, because as a counselor, I don't just represent Riverside Albert. I represent all of Fundy Albert. So when I went looking at theirs, and when you told me that, not you specifically, but in the calculations, that 90% of these 2 employees were gonna be charged to our water and sewer, then I need to know that these water utilities are going to get 90% of the service from these wages. When I go to work, they get 100% of me, not 90, not 40, not 60. So I look at it the same way. We need to know where they're spending the time so we can budget accordingly and it can be charged accordingly. And I know I sound frustrated, but I am a little bit frustrated because one, you know, like I think it was accounted for, you know, it's out amongst Fundy Albert, there's big tax rates coming to LSDs, which is absolutely not the case. Having a discussion does not indicate that we're having a tax increase, 2 different things. And having a work plan and what the actual work plan is 2 different things to me. You can make a work plan, but what the actual is could be totally different. And that's what I'm looking for as a counselor that represents all of Fundy Albert. I'm gonna stop talking.
Well,
no, it's good, no, it's very important to make sure that we, as this administration, are giving you as council. The information you require to make an informed decision. So I just want to make sure I had everything that was mentioned and that there's no other questions from further council. No,
And the only other one thing, and then I'm
Go
gonna
ahead,
stop
go
talking,
ahead.
that I would add is when we make a recommendation. Or we say, let's move this over here, or you say, not you in particular, but administration says, do this. We need to know what the final effect is going to be at the bottom line. It's
Yeah.
very easy to say, let's just move 100,000 there, but the bottom line is what you, me, everybody at this table and everybody in Fundy Albert is looking for. That's the key piece.
And we all have to be accountable. We gotta manage this like it was a business. We have revenue come in and we have money go out, but we gotta make sure we spend it properly. Cause it's, if you can't run a private business without having, policies and things in place and tracking for your employees, it'd be impossible. So that's all we're saying. We just need to be, aware of where people are and what they're doing and, how much time you're spending on those jobs. With that. Truck purchase.
And with that, a truck purchase. I'm not talking.
No?
I think we discussed most of it. No, I do appreciate your comments, Councillor Elderkin. You know, the whole work, it's a very complex piece, because when you start trying to get into the whole, if Bob goes down to Alma to do a little bit of shed and a little bit of public works, whatever you want to call it, it's really difficult to then start saying, well, what proportion of that travel time is for the public works piece and what's for, it's a really complex thing. And I think we are. Yeah, we're starting to record actual times now. So at the start, we come up with a work plan, and we are starting to record actual times out of what people are doing, which would be different to what the work plan was, purely because of what happens on the day. So we'll do our best to get together those details for you. And yeah, we'll give us something to discuss first, because it gives you the information you need. In terms of the actual public work truck, this has been ongoing for a while, because we have got an aging fleet that is costed us what we had predicted this year. And due to fleet breakdowns and waiting for vehicles, it has caused us limitations of what we can do and the way we do it. So what we're looking for is to get a vehicle on the fleet that is efficient and reliable to get us out to do that work. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. So I'm a big supporter that we need to have the right tools for our staff to do the jobs that are out there to support and maintain our community and our municipality. So especially if we have an aging fleet. We know that we inherited some of these assets from the previous villages, and you know, they are as they are. They're old. Some of them are needing repairs, and we know that one of the trucks, it either has been retired or it's going to be retired. Is that correct? The big one?
There's one that's currently, we're looking at replacing that.
So my question is, and a shared concern is where the money comes from. And I see here that it's designated as the shared fund for the 60,000. And this question comes out of the ignorance of me not being on council long enough to know the answer to this, but have we purchased an asset like this? Well, since amalgamation for Fundy Albert. And if so, okay, so then it was paid
The first
for
one.
by one of the previous villages. So this model is a change from that, and that's my question, is that this would be partially or majority of it paid through the shared funding. Do we know, and if no one has the answer, maybe we can look into it, what other similar municipalities are doing? Maybe look at Fundy St. Martin's, because their makeup is similar to ours, where there is a larger rural community. And just to see, maybe that doesn't fit. Maybe we shouldn't use that as a benchmark, but understanding if there is the complexities, as you say, Ian, about the vehicles and the assets being used for certain places. If we can determine that these assets are being used primarily in one space, maybe we can look at a model that works better. I'm not saying that I'm for this being a shared cost or not a shared cost, but I think we need to dive into that. So at least we can tell residents, this is the reason why we're doing this. We're not doing this just because the money is there as a shared, but just so that we can really give that information. That would be my only, I guess, my question, which was answered, and I guess my comments on it, so.
Yep, I'll go ahead, Jim. I think you're a little short-sighted on your ask. I think you're a little early. We don't know where the budget is. If there's a surplus, this will fit in there really well. If there's no surplus, I'm not a big fan of taking all of our reserves and capital funds and spending them. We need them for emergencies. We got a piece of pipe in the village of Hillsborough that's older than all of us in this room put together. It's still clay and it's still working. But one of these days, you're gonna get a phone call and it ain't gonna work. And we're gonna need $500,000 just to start that project. So that's why that money was put in there years ago. And we used some of that money already by a truck when amalgamation started. And so be it. That's what we all agreed on. That's the way it works. But yes, our fleet is aging. But I think we need to cut our miles back on our trucks. We'll get a little bit more longevity out of them. And I think we need to start placing some employees out of the Riverside, Albert. That's where they show up to go to work. When they have a shorter distance, they're there, that's their job. And that will cut down the traffic coming back and forth. I know the water and sewer is a daily thing. That's provincially regulated. So we have to do that. But I think for right now, I think for next month, we need to sit on this until we get a better handle of what the budget is and where we're going to come up with the new rates. And if there's money in there, I'm all for it. But I don't think we need to jump ahead on this right yet. So that's my 2 cents.
Where are we at with 23? Because our hands are still tied by waiting for 23, and I agree with Jeff on this. I'm all for buying trucks and giving Public Works what they need. But we're still working 2 years behind here, and we really have not a clue. And that's scary.
No, I'm in the same boat as you, obviously. So right now we're waiting. I think they're going through the testing phase right now. So that's where they input the numbers. And I think, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, we were supposed to get testing like a few weeks ago. And it's my records from the auditors and I have reached out to them. And our counterpart that we were working with at E6 is reaching out to the head partner. Because we were under the impression that we would have the 23, by then. We had put a substantial amount of working to hand it to them on a silver platter.
So we do know the work that was given to them by E6 was top notch. So it's the auditor, and sometimes these auditors take on too much work. And this is what happens.
Back during when we were in the village of Hillsborough, we could get away with going and buying secondhand vehicles, probably had 9 kilometers that we could putt around and do our work. So I appreciate what Ian's asking is we're now running up and down from Hillsborough to Elma daily. Secondhand vehicles are wear them over to no time. But I'm still a little leery going up spending a ton of money until we get 2 years figured out before we move to 25.
And interesting, a lot of these things can be solved by technology.
Okay.
And that's, where we want to be someday, because, sending someone down to Alma to check a screen on something rather than having it, we can haul it up here. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that, we've got to travel all the way down there when we have technology that can actually do it for us. So that's part of the thing that we want to get to in the near future. And that would be a major efficiency for us.
So would we be better off kind of splitting some of the cost between equipment and technology opposed to all equipment?
I think there might be an opportunity with some technology in Alma anyway with the current project. So that should be resolved through that. And we're working on that as we speak. We actually touched briefly on it today when I was down there for a report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going forward, we have to touch on efficiencies everywhere. So Mr. Wallace is working on different things, and that's a big part of his role. Find us some efficiency wherever we can.
We're in a very unique position.
Yeah, we are. Anybody else on this? Okay. Provincial Municipal Highway Program.
Okay, this one is the TMHP project for next year is the shoulder and swale reconstruction on scenic drive in Alma. Obviously when this was put on, it had an estimate cost put on it. We had Englo do a proposal on the estimated or the updated estimated cost on it, and it came out more. So we have a number of options that we can do is Englo would suggest we could go to DTI for increased funding to cover that, the difference to what the increase is. However, they're not confident that we will get anything because those budgets are already kind of planned ahead by DTI. We could maintain the full scope of the project and fund the shortfall through capital reserves. We could reduce the scope of the project so it matches the already previously discussed funding, so there'll be no change to cost, it'll still be our 5%. We'll just reduce what we actually do. Or if council see fit, we can go out and speak to other engineering companies for some proposals for the same work to see if it comes out cheaper. Obviously, I've included the pros and cons of each option there. If there's any questions, I have to take them off.
I don't have any questions. I'm just, this part really isn't my thing, but I don't know why we wouldn't go and ask for additional funding before we would suggest to spend our own money.
It's actually something we are gonna do.
This scope was done, I believe, in 2022.
Yeah.
This is 2025. So as much as DTI, they all know things changed. I'm sure things changed for them, but I'm not understand the reasoning of why we wouldn't ask for more money before we make a decision of cancel.
That is already happening in the back end. We've employed those people they know to see if it's a feasible option.
Yeah.
So it has happened or it's going to happen?
It's ongoing.
Ongoing?
So that would be it for me. Until I hear back from that ongoing, there will be.
I got a question for you. What portion of 125 does Englo get? Percentage wise?
I don't have it directly in front of me, but it was on the proposal, I believe was attached to the council report one.
I think we need to look at other services. And I'll probably say I'm not impressed with that though. They didn't do a very good job of Pound Hill. And we haven't got anywhere on that. We've had them down to look at it and they basically washed their hands, but I'm not a big component of paying big money to engineers that don't want to back us up when something goes wrong. And I think we need to look further. There's lots of engineering companies. And I think it's time to move on. And as far as this, I agree with Councilor Arleton. See if the government's get any money, but if they don't, we go with 125 and do what we can. And move on to the next page. And if we have to reapply and get more money, that's what we should have to do. But I think Englo's getting very financially secure from Putney Albert. And I think it's time to spread it around a little bit and be a little bit more accountable, but thank you.
So to answer your question, the design, tendering and construction and administration is 30,000 and the construction estimate was 155.
To do your math.
Yeah, so it's exceeding, that's the difference of around $60,000 that you're identifying that we're short, right?
So that's 20% of the project.
Mhm.
They're getting well paid for what they're doing. Anyways, that's my 2 cents.
I look forward to seeing what DTI.
Anything else?
Yes.
But
So option one, talking about that's in progress, to ask for more funding. I know it says here, in the cons that it's unlikely that we'll get that. Do we have a timeline, even an estimate? My fear is to Councillor Alderton's point, this was something that was done in 2022. It's now 2025. I just wouldn't want us to take an option that might bring us to 2028. Waiting for them and just kicking that can, because I won't pretend to know anything about road work. I'm not an engineer, but to me, what needs to be fixed on that section of road is eroding and it's getting worse by the day, so just have to make sure that we keep that in mind. As sometimes inaction does create a bigger problem and just becomes more expensive. It becomes urgent at that point, so I think we've run into that a few times, not the fault of anybody, but just circumstances, so. Yeah, I would be also interested to know the progress of this as it keeps going, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, council. That's it, thank you. 6.8 Hills Road Water Exploration.
Okay, me again. This is the water exploration. You would have seen some of this before anyway, because it was presented when we only did the initial task earlier in the year. We've now got to the point with the project where we need to basically agree to move forward and agree to proposal so we can start doing the next steps of this water exploration project. If there are any questions on what's been presented there?
No, I think going forward, we need to look for water because water is taken for granted. And as we all know, this summer, she's pretty dry and it's gonna happen again. And these municipal systems, people pay the money and they rely on us to keep the water running, and that's fine. But I think we need to jump forward on this, as I've been asking questions for the last several months. And I think we need to roll on this and get going. Put a new road in, let's see, do the test wells, hydraulic pumping, get the hydrogeologic assessment and public consultation, get all that done and get things rolling on this because we're gonna need it. There's more people coming to the area, there's more people tying into the system. And the more you take every house is X amount of liters per day, right? It adds up, so. Yeah.
All right. Arena ventilation.
Okay, this one is for a arena ventilation for the plant room at the arena. Currently, the ventilation system in there is not sufficient to turn over the air quick enough to keep us compliant if there is an ammonia leak. We got made aware of this year when Blackman Dole did the opening of the arena. They explained that we weren't compliant and that we needed to be. They provided a quote. We went out to get other quotes, which all some came back saying they didn't want to take on the job. It was outside their scope of work. But we did get a secondary quote from Simco Refrigeration, which all the details are presented in front of you. The recommendation is that we approve one of the quotes to move forward and getting us back up to compliance within the arena as soon as possible.
The recommendation is to move forward with Block and Map. They do know the system, they've been doing the work there for years. I have personally no problem at all going forward with Block and Map to get this done. It has to be done, ammonia's bad. And we need to get rid of it, so. Yeah, I'm good with Block and Map recommendation.
They seem to be the most cost effective, so they're the ones that are servicing the arena now.
Yeah. They do have full knowledge of the system. We've worked in the arena for years. I know at face value the Simco one does look slightly lower, but when you take into consideration some of the other factors, the lowest risk and lowest cost really is the Black McDonald quote.
Yep. See that.
They all look pretty similar, except Black and McDonald does include the disposal and demolition and freight and delivery, which the other two is excluded, so depending on where it's coming from, it could have freight and delivery could cost as much as.
Absolutely.
Where's the money coming from?
Julian?
Oh, that'll be coming from our contingency within the arena.
There's room there for it.
Right now there is, yes.
Perfect, I agree 100%. Yeah.
An important fix.
Right now there is, does that mean tomorrow there might be?
An old building, anything can happen.
Presses are doing well at the moment.
Yeah.
Is this impacting the arena operations right now?
Not at this time, I don't think.
I know it's not right now.
But if something did happen, then you'd be looking at
Certainly
probably
would.
an 8-week. 12 shutdown.
We're just going into starting, it's open now, correct? Yeah.
And I do believe there's a spare compressor on the old ones, they can be rebuilt. It's not the new fancy stuff, it's the old types. And I think there's a spare one there that can be rebuilt, it needs to be put
We're
in,
doing in a museum.
still works.
Yep.
That's old fellers are still going. Hey, Jenna.
We're hanging in there, but we're not quitters.
And they
Mr.
keep you
Mayor,
honest, put it
Mr.
out.
Mayor,
Mr. Mayor, sir,
That's okay.
right now.
Later. Department, reports, legislative services.
So my report is in your council package and I'll just do a brief overview. So for September 2025, a total of 5 permits were issued across wards 2 to 6 with a combined project value of $44,604. Some of the funding initiatives, one update is the Fire Smart program. We were approved for $96,000. So this is to develop a community wildfire resiliency plan with Foresight Consultants. And the plan will assess wildfire risk, improve community preparedness, and guide mitigation strategies. And that plan should be wrapped up by the end of March. What else? The Fundy Albert welcome sign will now be installed at the boundary in Lower Coverdale, with work commencing very shortly.
we've heard that before.
Again, I know. Anywho, we're working on an easement with the landowner and things seem to be going well for now. Bylaws and policies, I am working with, water and sewer bylaw, also amendments in progress for the procedural bylaw number 2022-03. And something that's not on my report is the veteran banners will be installed, October 27th is the date. Unless it's bad weather, and they'll be up for the month of November. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Great. Operations.
Okay, so you received my report prior to the meeting. Couple of points I just want to either update and or add a bit of detail to. The water conservation efforts is one. Obviously, it's rained quite a lot over the last week or two. However, we are still asking the public to conserve the water as much as possible whilst the wells and the reservoirs recover. It is going to take a considerable amount of time of rain like this to actually get them back where they need to be to ensure that we've got a dependable source that will keep going. The public has been fantastic over the summer. For the most part, they've listened to the water conservation notices, and we are actually in a really good position when you consider the dry spells that we have had. So thank you out there to the consumers of the municipal water. The only other one I wanted to bring up is the Alma gazebo. The installation is planned for the 24th of October. We are all still going for that, weather dependent, but it is looking really good. And then myself and the CEO visited Alma this morning as part of a construction meeting for the Alma Water Project. One of the standpipe reservoirs is almost complete. They should be starting on the second one either later this week or early next. Work is still moving along really well to have the commissioning of the wells in December to then looking at a month or so testing before then hooking onto the system properly. But it's all looking good for that. For the Riverside Albert Water Filtration Project, all of that work is now complete. It's just a matter of getting in there and just doing the final checks to say that that is done, and where we need to be. No changes on anything else.
Just one question for me. Ward 2. You have identified through diligent financial review. What does that exactly mean when the treasurer has identified additional funding? Where did the additional funding come from?
That's where we had 2 projects running concurrently in Riverside Albert. It was the replacement of the water main, wasn't it?
Oh,
Water system upgrade.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's some money left over in that project we managed to reallocate to the final parts of the water filtration plant.
Okay, because the utility budget I know is right on the,
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of
It's nothing to
leeway.
do with the actual budget. This was the budgets to do with the projects and the funding we had for that.
Thank you for your
So-
explanation. And the only other question I would have is Ward 6 from the lagoon. What is the holdup there?
I just had an email as we sat down for this meeting from Jeff.
Russell.
I always forget his name, yeah, Jeff Russell, set up a meeting over the next week or so to discuss, what's going on with that. So you get a better understanding.
That was it for me.
Go ahead.
Under the, Ward 4 water exploration renewal of landowner agreement, are we getting close to nailing that down?
Yes. The last time I spoke to him and went through the actual document with him, he was content with the adjustments we've made. He was still gonna take that to his lawyer, to get his lawyer to look. I'm hoping that this is the second time that his lawyer looked it up and we've addressed all the points that got brought up the first time. So I'm hoping we are good. I'm trying to meet with him later this week or early next, so see if he can get it.
Perfect, thank you.
We'll finish off.
Okay. Financial services.
Oh, great teams. So for our general operating, everything's still going well, financial wise, so some key points, I'm still waiting, I'm still back and forth with Circular Materials. Trying to find the information they need to be able to update our, account with them to the correct amount that we should be receiving. We've recently lost the revenue from the Anglophone East for the rec center. This is due to, where we didn't align with our project agreement. They wanted to work the schools and us carrying out lawn care and using their facilities. They decided to withdraw. Additional unbudgeted revenues have allowed us to reserve our operating reserve for other years at this point. Under expensive general equipment, as we've spoken earlier, is over budget. Our rec other does show that it's over budget, but it is actually offset by a grant that we received from Heritage Canada, which leaves room for further community activities. For Elma Utility, so in a process with, I've been working with E6 and to follow a PSAB reporting standards, we are moving all capital items over to capital themselves. So there's a few changes that you can see here in appendix 2 and 4, which will show that the bank loan expense was moved. And what's next is the revenue from RDC and the expenses that were for those projects. And so we're gonna see a different net income out of those and for the better. And their expenses, the only thing that's really offshooting right now is that the water treatment plant and the booster stations have had an increase in their MB power bills. But I find that with a lot of our facilities, either some of them, it went skyrocket higher, or if it went down lower with the new meters that they have inputted. For Hillsborough Utility, our operating reserve has not been used. The reasoning of putting it in there was help fund water exploration, but as our Director of Operations has alluded to, we're still working on legal agreements for that. For the expenses, our water treatment and distribution repairs, contingencies and connections has surpassed our budget amounts as well as our wastewater collection. Water exploration did not reach our expected timeline, obviously, let's see it. So for Riverside Albert Utility, alike to Elma Utility, grants for capital and expenses that were pertaining to those capital items will be moved to our capital accounts. So going forward, if council would like to see income statements coming from those capital accounts, please let me know and I can have those included as well to be able to give you guys an idea of where they're sitting. We're just not erasing them off the board. They are still part of our village. As far as expenses go, our repair contingency did not cover our water leak earlier this year, and our water treatment plant has seen increases in NV power. For our receivables, we have received some payments on our outstanding, but it's not much as we'd like to see. Canada Post kind of put us on a block on our process, but now they're back to work every other day, so we are working on our next steps on our overdues, periodically. As per council information requests, for this year, we've received over $13,000 in funding through SEED and Canada Summer Jobs for work programs with students. But our expenses in total were over 51,000. For our visitor information center mini split, we've had repairs that had overtaken our budget for that, but we are reviewing our projections to see if it will allow for funds to be reallocated to complete that project this year. Is there any questions regarding my report?
My, not really a question, it's a comment about the receivables, and again, I'm honing in on Riverside Albert. We have a lot of receivables on our water and sewer, so with the up and down, in and out of Canada Post, should we not be preparing to be able to function in the event we don't have a Canada Post down the road? I do hope that they will remain, obviously, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the bills still need to go out, and I thought at one point we were collecting email addresses.
We have and continue to collect them. We've had a couple of people revert it back to paper. But we still push, for people to give us emails. Town of Riverview does an example of what they do is they offer, for everybody that changes from over to paperless, they get put in a draw to have their water and sewer bill covered for 1 quarter. So they do little incentives like that. So I mean, it's something for council to think about. There's different ways of going about it, but as of right now, I'm really besides hand delivering, I don't know what our future is without Canada Post.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we have to look at for the future, because again, we don't have very many users in Riverside Albert, so when I look at a receivable of 30 grand, that's a lot that we're carrying. And it's, again, the ones that aren't paying is being covered by the ones that are paying their bills, and we're going into a budget year and things change. We need the money in order to have the water system. And
For sure.
we do have to survive, if Canada Post was to stay out for an extended period, we'd have to adjust. All companies are adjusting, and I think we have to get on board with maybe looking into the email stuff so we can have the backup. Thank you.
On, your receivables, I totaled that up 91 plus 0925, so that's as of September, right? I'm looking at 176,338. If you add all those up. Like,
Well, some of them are like, your first kind of section would be your 61 to 90 and 91 plus. Are you separating those when you do your addition as well?
that's what there's gotta be something on them, like, Counselor Elderton, that, people are paying for other people. And, I know we get into quite I've been starting some people off, but, what's the other companies or, well, Salisbury doesn't have water, but, for instance, what's, Moncton do? Or Sackville, or
Any other municipality I've talked to, like, is they just discontinue services for them, because the way it's set up is that there's an automatic lien on their properties. So if they go to sell it, we do get it back. It's just sometimes it's a longer drawn out process. That's where I feel, I think in Riverside Albert, if you look under collections, that's on, I don't even think that's any included in your 91 plus. So these are people that we've shut off for years. So I mean, I don't know any other ways around it, but I can definitely put the question out to other municipalities to see if there's special tricks that I haven't pulled out of my hat yet.
Because I know I said that Irving was, had those. Not about, oh. They would sure have it. Within 30 days, or you wouldn't be doing anymore. You know. I think we're quite generous. Hey, anything else? Okay, thank you. Mayor and council statements and inquiries. We'll start, Mr. Lane.
No, come back around, tell me for a second, I got, right.
Councilor Garrett.
I have a few things. I'll ask my questions. For operations, a resident has identified a potential safety risk in the former village of Alma, where what I guess we would call the well road, the road coming from the old or the existing well building, as it comes on to Bayview. There's a lot more traffic because of the construction. I guess residents are not really supposed to be going up there, and so that's part of my question, but so the resident asked if a stop sign or a yield sign can be put there, just to make sure that traffic does flow properly and doesn't cause any potential risks or accidents. And previously, it was discussed that gates would be put up to protect not only the well sites, the former village of Alma, but in Hillsborough and Riverside, Alberta as well, just because we want to protect our water, we want to protect our residents. So my question would be, what's the status on the gates?
For the Alma Well project, it is part of the project.
It is, okay. So that would happen near the end,
Yeah.
most likely, just chronologically, it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, there has been some discussion on adjusting the position. One of the gates will actually bring it closer to Forest Drive.
Yes.
So right at the front rather than set back a bit, which will
Yeah.
stop people going in there.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, and that's what we discussed, okay. Okay, thank you. Just coming back to the 2023 audit, I know it was brought up, and the point was it was in the testing phase. So right now, we don't have even an estimated date of when we'll get that back and it would be approved or completed by the auditor, do we?
No, like,
Okay.
I think I was supposed to have it a couple weeks ago, that's, so I have reached out to them. I have tried, we were supposed to have a meeting with them last week that was scheduled, and it was canceled, and I haven't heard back from her to reschedule. So we're working with our, with the help of E6 to reach out to the, like I said, their head partner, because we are running behind schedule. We're 24 is just, we're in the stance with 24 is that we're almost ready to go. We're just waiting for them to,
For 23.
yeah.
Well, please keep us up to date.
Yeah.
So we can keep our residents up to date on the status. Thank you.
Yep.
So a resident asked about a report, and I do believe we did receive one of these reports, and I guess I'll ask the clerk and the CAO. It was the criminal activity report that the RCMP did provide us. Do we still get that report, or did we ever get that report?
No, but you can go online and access it.
And that would show for a specific municipality?
Yeah, I think it shows by municipalities or communities, like Hopewell or Hillsborough.
That's good to know.
So so where RCP located, so they actually show the report based on what
Based on
their
their
area is,
coverage.
and their coverage.
Yeah.
And I have noticed crime has been ticking up because I do check it weekly. And in November, the RCMP are supposed to come here to have a chat with us.
Can you send me the link and I'll pass it on to the resident that inquired about it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you just share the link with everybody?
I sure can.
Thanks.
Share it with Councillor Elderkin as well.
We could post it too, actually.
Yeah.
It's on our website.
Is it on the
Yeah,
website?
it's under frequently asked questions.
Okay, I'll just find it there.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
Send it.
I'll email it out. We're good.
Yeah.
Under frequently asked questions.
Okay. Thank you. So I have two other things that I want to bring up. As some of you might know, you may not, that the fleet launch in the previous village of Alma took place between October 10th and the 13th. It was a big event. It's a very important event. as fishing is a big part of the economy, not only just in the former Village of Alma, but also Fundy Albert. So it went well. It was, I believe that the participation from residents and also from non-residents was up. So just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to ask staff to look into some potential funding that might be available within the budget that has not been spent to assist with the fleet launch. The volunteers, it couldn't have happened without the volunteers. And of course, with any event, any quality and valuable event for our community, funding is important. So if we could look into potential funding to assist for some of the costs of that fleet launch event, you know, being related to events and culture, that would be appreciated. The only other thing I have is, there's an update from Fundy National Park, so I will read that. It is the October update, October 2025, of course, and that's highlights from September. Talking about hopeful findings after challenging summer for Atlantic salmon. Every year that Fundy Park does an Atlantic salmon release. So extremely low water levels presented a significant hurdle for adult salmon returning to Fundy's rivers this year. Juvenile salmon in the region also felt the effects of drought conditions, which we monitored in the coming years of recovery efforts. However, significant rainfall at the start of October brought good news with improved water levels. In just 48 hours, the salmon team counted 29 salmon returning to the park. More than 70 salmon have returned since, with the number hopefully continuing the rise as the water levels recover. These promising numbers demonstrate the continued resilience of the Atlantic salmon, and that is an important thing for Fundy National Park and one of their endeavors. Autumn and winter 2025 updates, end of shoulder season at Fundy National Park. As of October 13th, several facilities closed for the winter as we are in that off season, including Wolf Lake Visitor Center, Outpost East Gift Shop, Golf Shop, as well as Point Wolf and Cannon Town campgrounds. And any residents and non-residents can check their website. The entrance kiosks at each park entrance remain open until the 27th of October, after which entry permits are available at Headquarters Visitor Center and via the automated fee collection terminals located at each park entrance. And those are actually new this spring. So if anybody is wondering what those are, they're automated, kind of like parking meters that you can just pay and get your ticket. Canada Strong Pass renewed for the holidays and summer of 2026. October 10th, Prime Minister Carney announced several key measures from the upcoming federal budget that will lower costs and protect essential programs that empower Canadians. The measure include renewing the Canada Strong Pass from December 12th, 2025 to January 15th, 2026, and then again for the summer of 2026. And lastly, enjoy all seasons with the off-season offer. While the shoulder season has ended, Fundy National Park is open year-round for the enjoyment of Canadians. A variety of outdoor experiences await day trippers and campers alike, including yurts, Authentics, rustic cabins, cross-country skiing, tobogganing, and more. Headquarters Campground and Visitor Center welcome visitors all year round. Point Wolf Shelter remains open and reservable through the Canada Parks reservation system from November through April. And of course, anybody can access the park's website for any winter activities. And that is all of my statements.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Land, you got any new?
Yeah, I just have one question. Is there any checks been wrote for the Golf Club Road project? Any payments made?
Yes, we don't do checks no more for that. We're moving on to technology. EFT has been sent for the first one and the second one is in the progress.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Okay.
Really good, yeah, really good. Anything else, sir?
No, that's good.
Mr. Coates?
Yeah, my concern is, should we be looking at auditors or does it, all these amalgamations never can that be into that in 2023, you know, We must have had 50 to 60 dates that we were gonna get completed. Last I heard it was 1st of August. Now today's what, the 23rd?
Yeah,
That's 3 weeks.
it's definitely on the front of my mind. It was an adventure I had to do in 2022. Because the partner that worked at the firm we were using had retired, so we had to find another one. I had reached out to the province for assistance of trying to find a new auditor, because it is a special auditor, not just every accounting firm does it, and I learned, in the city of Moncton, there was only 2, and they weren't taking on any new ones. So that's where I've gone a little bit as far as, Sussex St. John to find the one we do have. It's something that we've discussed with E6 that, you know, maybe there's an auditor has more time and can get our audits done in a more timely manner, so we are looking into it, but it's a harder task than one. It's about the same as trying to find a water operator.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Okay, I realize that, but it's just frustrating.
Oh,
For all of us in counselors and the people don't get answers. And that's what they're elected for.
yeah,
To give answers to the president.
yeah, no, I definitely agree, because, between now. I guess I don't wanna not feel like I toot my own horn, but I have put a lot of time with the help of E6 to create. You know, financials that are ready to go, all the support, they could almost take their lists and complete the audit without reaching out for me for samples, because I've given them that much information. So I put a lot of work, time, and my own personal time to have them on a silver platter. So it is discouraging, just as much it is you as a counselor, I can imagine, when you're a question about this, so. I'm doing everything in my power that I can do.
Realize that, I'm not blaming you, it'd be wrong.
Oh, no,
So get Councilor Coates, how bad it is that there's auditors in this province farming out that work to other provinces, so other accountants.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a low. There's not enough people to do that.
Okay. That's it for me. Jonah, Councilor Jonas.
There. So as said here today, Golf Club Road still kind of on par for completion date, there's nothing.
Looking very good. Actually, I was down there yesterday and the pipes are getting built and
3/4 done.
3/4 done and,
So what estimated date for completion at this point?
because of the rain and, there's some, issues with, some of the anchor bolts. But they found a good solution for that. I think put them behind maybe 2 days, but the rain's put them behind. So I think we're probably looking, around November 10th.
Nice,
Yeah, or sooner.
or sooner, perfect.
So could be sooner, very well sooner.
Just confirmed over the weekend, the annual Christmas parade in Hillsborough is going to be December the 6th this year. If anybody would like to take part or have any questions to how to take part, please, get a hold of Becky Snyder. She'll be organizing it again this year.
Excuse the interruption.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Are we putting a float in for that?
First one, Hills Road, we do, yeah.
Should we? Oh, no, we have a proper.
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. Well, we've got a good trailer now, so.
And lastly, I just really want to give kudos to the admin team. When I was looking through the package, you know, for today, but there's a lot getting done, and it's with Sean's leadership and the team behind him, it really shows that things are moving forward. And just the policies alone, you know, the policies are just being churned out. I must say, when I seen a flag policy, I thought, oh my lord, what's a flag policy? Well, the line goes up and then comes down. But after I read it, it's like, yeah, it's needed. It's actually needed. But no, it's good to see the team working together. It's good to see council working cohesively with the admin team. It's just, there's just really been some good things happened over the last 2 months. And I want to thank Sean and the team, you know, all around the table here, that's doing a fantastic job. Truly appreciate it. And thank you.
You know, we thank you for that, and I know we've got a lot of support from the residents as well. I think a lot of them understand that I think 42 days in, and it's, you know, we have challenges, and you know, we're moving along pretty good, so I just thank everyone for their support as well.
Things are happening. It's good.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, just a couple things for me. Remembrance Day services, November 10th, it will be held in Riverside, Albert, and November 11th. It will be in Alma as well as Hillsborough. A thank you to Peter Jubb, from Hillsborough, because he ensures that the other two, former villages do participate in that each year, and it's well attended. I attended a fundraiser for the Shepherdie Food Bank, and thank you to the organizers for, taking that on for a good cause. I can't stress enough, I know it's already, I think everybody's mentioned it, the 2023 audit, the 2024 audit. Just have to say it, we need it to make our decisions. So once we get one, we need the other one. And I know there's probably a slim chance we're gonna have them by the end of November. But it is something what we need it. You answered one of my questions. The RCMP should be coming to council November for a presentation. And I, with Jeff or Counselor Jonah, I agree, the package for tonight's meeting was a lot.
Gotta be more.
I say that, and I do appreciate the fact that we do have to have tough discussions, and that the admin team has to support us to make our decisions. In order for us to make the decisions, they have to give us the information to make them in order for us to give the feedback to the public. So I do appreciate, I know it sometimes, it probably feels like we're nitpicking. We're not nitpicking. We have a job to do, you have a job to do, and at the end of the day, we hope we find a nice balance for all of Fundy Albert. So as a resident of Riverside, Albert, and a representative of Ward 2, which includes LSD areas, I also try to make it upon myself to take all of Fundy Albert into consideration when we're making decisions. So that's that.
Thank you. On my comments are, I won't make this long, but from my perspective, when I was elected to be mayor, that means I worked for everybody. From Alma to Lower Coverdale, in Baltimore, and Caledonia, wherever our Fundy Albert is, I try to be cordial when I reach out to people, and we're trying our best here to make this work, so, and that's all. September, I'll give you a quick breakdown. I attended 21 different meetings in September. I think last Saturday was the first Saturday that I didn't have a meeting for quite some time. And I'm not looking for pat in the back, I'm just saying, we're not lazy here, we're working. And in October, we did a 3-day UMNB meeting in St. John, which was very informative. It's like all conferences you go to, some of the seminars were a little bit slow, but overall it was good, and a lot of good feedback from other mayors and councilors. Kind of this month has been kind of slow. I only got 8 meetings in so far in October, so I've kind of been slacking off. That's pretty much it.
I just have one more thing, sorry.
Well, yes,
Well, I meant to bring this up because it's all over the table, but there's a fundraiser that it goes for a library. If anybody's interested, it's November 1st. They're doing lots of great things, spreading their selves across the village. So there is a fundraiser on November 1st for the library.
Open it up. They get any questions. Okay, has anybody in the audience got a question or a comment before we move on here?
So, it's Jason Horseman, Zone Ward 2, Albert Mines Road, Curryville.
So, like I said, no secret why I'm here. Had some conversations with people that claim to be in the know. About what's going on with the shared costing and whatnot. I'll be honest with you, I have talked to Bob Rochon over social media and by phone, and you guys, I like some of what you're saying tonight about where you're looking at, but just to put a little perspective in it, provincial tax rates for LSD, what we used to be LSD 7 for Eagle, have not changed in a number of years. Government pats themselves on the back saying, we haven't raised your rates. They most certainly have. My house has had no renovations since the 1970s, other than a new roof. My assessment has gone up by over double since I bought the house in 06. So don't give me the bullshit that they haven't raised my taxes. They have. My understanding is the provincial contribution that comes off of my taxes for recreation and public works and all that has not changed going to Fundy Elmer. You guys are receiving the same provincial rate now as you were when you first took over. That is your lost revenue source, not my back today. The 17.2% that my taxes have gone up because of Fundy Albert, Public Works and whatever. I understand Public Works. Some of you know where I am, some of you don't. I'm a union member and executive for CUPE Local 51. We're CUPE National 800,000 strong, a lot of them public servants across Canada. So we just come back from CUPE National meetings in Toronto last week. 45,000 members roughly, 30% of which are Public Works. Had many conversations with them surrounding the costing and whatnot, and we're not the only province that has done amalgamations and whatnot. We're probably the worst managed amalgamated province in Canada. Like I said, I understand you got a pile of meetings, you got a pile of stuff you gotta go to. The lobbying you need to do for funding for is with the province, not with your residents. Because I'll be honest with you, I have called Public Works in Hillsborough for anything from a tree branch across the road. His DOT refuses to pick it up, cut it off. There was a very hazardous situation on Albert Mines Road this summer. The only way it got rectified is I took my 140 horsepower tractor up the road and put the branch on the road. Then DOT come and cleaned it up. I'm willing to do that at any time, any place. I will dig a road out if it's unsafe. You will not pass on it. So the point is, you need to look at going to the province, not to the residents. So, because like I say, I know you're a shared model. You mentioned Alma Rec Center, Hillsborough Arena as shared model. I already paid for them. I already paid for them through my taxes, and I already paid dearly to use them through my user pay. So, to add more shared costs from those services that are user pay, I understand the Alma Gazebo is not, and it's open to everybody, and that's, we need some of them. We need Public Works. It sounds like you have a drastic lack of accountability on the paperwork side of it.
Yeah.
Again, tonight we heard about trucks. That's my background in vehicle. I disagree with the man when he says he needs that truck replaced. I'm assuming you're talking the blue dually that come out of Riverside, Albert.
That was still worried. That's
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That one there, I've heard they want to replace that one as well, the workers. But today, watch your numbers very, very closely. You can put 30 to 40% of the value of a truck into a truck, keep it on the road today, and have a lower operating cost than buying a new one. You're probably gonna find in the next 24 to 36 months, that's gonna change. Very political, some people don't agree, but the Chester Cheeto down south, he is in the process of deregulating a lot of your urea, your emissions. The state of California is looking at banning urea. That's gonna trickle down to Canada eventually, so don't get in a big excited rush to buy new products. You're well and truly better off to spend money on your fleet you have than to replace it just because it's old.
I have a truck 2204, 780,000 kilometers on it, one injector, one alternator.
Yeah.
Do not replace truck just because they're old. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Comments?
I'm just gonna tack something on the back end of what he said. I don't know why we're not going after the money that's out there provincially and federally.
We are.
It's appalling that this 114 is not a tourist corridor. Most communities fight to get traffic to come in. We've got it running right straight down through there, waving at us on their way by. And to tack onto that, I can say this because I'm born here, raised here, and I'll die here. We've got to clean Main Street up from stem to stern. And coming into Pound Hill, when you hit that whip-de-doo dive, I don't know who paved that or who fixed that, but they should be fired. Right on the spot. Fix the road up, fix the infrastructure up, make it look like a nice little appealing town, because we got 6,000 cars a day stopping at the Rocks. Fact. They could be stopping here, putting money into the community, building up our tax base that we bought 5 of them down here and lost 5 tax bases because we're gonna move the road instead of hiring an engineer to go and fix the Avido. Right, Mr. Land?
Very true.
You fix the Avido, you don't gotta raise the road. Sorry, that's a fact.
Already raised that concern, my friend.
So, you know, wasting money in spots that don't. I'm not here about my taxes. I didn't hear they were going up. I didn't hear that rumor because I'm not on Facebook. But they're at $7,000 and I get garbage pickup. Got my own well, my own septic, paid for my own power to run in there on the golf club road. I'm not growling. But what I don't like is to run into a community that I've been born and raised in and it looks like a dog patch. That's my problem. We've got to do something and the people will invest into it. I know somebody right now who's gonna put a 50s restaurant down here 5 years ago. And every year they keep saying to me, not until they clean it up. Because people aren't gonna stop. And that hurts to say that. I don't care how you wanna live it back off the 910 or back in Shenstone. That doesn't matter. But on our main drag, I mean, the paving on that road, Main Street, is atrocious. It really is. And listen, this isn't throwing stones at you guys. But the 22-23 whole process, the optics on that just look bad. I mean, and I know you guys are trying your best, but I mean, like it doesn't exude a whole lot of faith into where we're at, right? You know, and a lot of it was before you guys, and I understand that. But I mean, this town has so much more potential all the way down this whole corridor. So make it a tourist corridor. You can get federal funding to do the paving and fix the roads up and start getting people to stop at all these little villages all the way right straight through down to Alma. You've got the Rocks, you've got, you know, Cape and Range, you've got Fundy National Park. Most towns would die to have that kind of traffic running right straight through the middle of it. All we gotta do is get them to stop. So that's my sort of rant or rail or whatever you want. Just let's focus on getting some money that's out there. And if we can get this a tourist corridor, deemed a tourist corridor, we can tap into that money.
So just so you know, we're working with, we're after the province and the feds to do just what you're saying.
And then I talked to Mr. Wallace on this and I appreciate your input on it.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it.
Yeah, and just to tack onto that, what you guys did today was, I appreciate it because it put a lot of transparency and a lot of clarity on things for me. So I don't want to sound like I'm in here bashing anybody, because I'm not. It's
You're
just,
passionate.
it's just one of those things that, you know, let's look at that. And I've got to go, so I apologize for that, but I appreciate your guys' time. And
Thank you.
we'll see you at the next one.
Before you go, municipal elections are May and June. Coming. Anybody that's thinking and talking to the gallery, yourself, they need to step up to the plate, because there's gonna be a few who's not come back. And there's gonna be some seats open, and we need people in here with loud mouths and got some
Are you
backbone.
saying I got? Yeah, that's the pot called the kettle black there.
I'm with you. But I'm just saying, people need to really think about what's coming down the pipe and be willing to step up and help out.
Well,
And
I'm
that's all
I'm
I'm
not
saying.
crying for things for me. I've never been like that. Like I said, I wasn't even gonna come in here and rail on about the taxes. If they were gonna go up, The problem is, I wanna see this town start to grow,
That's why we're here.
you know?
But there's gonna be a few of us missing. We need people to start thinking about it coming forward, so they sit in the chairs to do that job, just not to look
Is
after.
every meeting this long?
Yes.
Or longer?
Appreciate your time. Great, everybody, that's good.
Anybody else?
Well, it's hard to do those two gentlemen. Wow, excellent. No, I just kind of wanted to, kind of revisit a little bit of what I said, but I first wanted to say, I want to thank you councilors tonight for asking for, when we were talking about the allocation of, public works, truck, you're asking for more data, for more info. That's,
Yeah.
I love data.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the right answer, right? Because you're looking to make sure that it's the right decision, and if it's the right decision, how do you allocate it? Properly. That's exactly how you should attack it. You know me, I've been banging the same drum forever, and I'll keep showing up for these meetings, and I'll keep banging that same drum. Still remain concerned that even if it's inadvertent, that there's too much of a village-centric focus, given that 70% of the population is the LSDs. I've been banging my drum about, I believe, from the beginning, and it started with the problems, but been perpetuated so far in our budgets to date, that the allocations have been unfair for the LSDs, particularly covered it. I will keep fighting that fight. We are, there's various words for a reason, right? We aren't just one big village, right? So there should be differences between each. Now, as much as I say allocations aren't fair, to something you were talking about, Loretta, revenues, I say, keep your revenues in your villages, right? So I see it from both sides, right? If I'm standing up here saying I think the allocations are too high, I will equally fight and say the revenues, some of those revenues for the villages should stay in the villages. To kind of equal things out, just as a fair statement. I presented this to you last time, which is just my analysis of your numbers for the past 3 years since amalgamation. Everything from population to local expenses to shared expenses to, the split, everything. Population, percentage of increase in rates or all of that. I think that information is accurate because it's from your numbers. But please, challenge me if there's something wrong there, let me know. I do share that with whoever will listen, just because I believe it's factual, and informative. But please, challenge me if I've got something wrong, call me out on it. No problem there. But, anyway, thank you again, as always.
Thank you.
I've actually gone to that often, look at it, and I think you're bang on. If you're wrong, I'm wrong. But no, I've pulled that out and looked like, man, this is good stuff. Thank you. Of course.
All right, that covers that. Thank you very much. I want to read a statement about closed sessions, because there seems to be some confusion about why and we have them and what's the point. Municipal councils are required by law to hold certain discussions in camera. That is a closed session. To protect sensitive information such as personnel matters, legal advice, contract negotiations, or issues involving identifiable individuals. These protections are not about secrecy, they're about upholding the privacy and legal rights of residents, employees, and organizations as required under the Local Governance Act and the right to information and protection of privacy. If the municipalities were to disclose private or confidential information in violation of these laws, it could face legal action. Any resulting lawsuit or financial penalty would ultimately have to be paid by our taxpayers, directly impacting future tax rates. By following the law and meeting in camera, when appropriate, council is protecting both the public interest and the financial integrity of the municipality. Thank you. And with that.
Kevin, I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, sorry.
If you don't mind.
No.
I will, and Sean covered 3/4, but I just wanted to make one mention. And good facts, I just want to reinforce what you said, I appreciate the fact that you guys really want facts to do anything. And Councilor Evan, you made a good point here about public works. And I can see the look on your face, it's about users. And the former mayor said to me at the very start, when I started this thing is, you know, you only have so many users to pay for things. So you either have a choice, you either raise taxes or you reduce services. In the case of utilities, you cannot reduce services because people need basic utilities and service. So the challenge of the forming municipalities is they don't have the user base to do it, right? So that tax vacation for the last 3 years, some of that could have been cut into, if you guys had been willing to accept a little bit, because the cost of living went up for all of us. Everybody, we all are one in that way. We all got hit with the exact same thing. Just keep that in mind going forward. We're willing to help pay some of it, but as things go up, we all have to pay together.
So just to be clear on that, that the general operating is totally different from utilities.
Yes,
We pay an additional amount in each former village for that service.
correct, but your utilities have gone up in the last 3 years, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, but yet,
And-
your warrant that you've used to pay for that has not gone up. in the last-
But we pay for that separately.
That's
Correct.
It can
yes,
only be
but
funded
that's
by
your
user
overall
fees.
tax rate.
It-
Part of
yeah,
that
that's
goes
only-
That warrant, right? It's
No,
different than a whole.
it has nothing to do with the warrant.
Yes,
It's only funded by the user fees,
yes.
I believe. It doesn't take money out of the warrant to pay for our utilities. It's
No.
reported separately, it's funded separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The utilities can only be funded
Yeah.
by user fees,
Yes.
and that is a New Brunswick
Yeah.
So
stipulation.
you can't even take that out.
So even if we had
I
a,
have no way to generate it. Oh my God.
That's,
it, it's user pay.
Sorry, thanks for the understanding. Appreciate that.
So that $12 million project
Yeah.
in Elma, thank God we got a whole bunch of money from the.
Yeah,
Fed.
oh, yeah. There would be no way that
They
no
couldn't do it.
municipality,
So I'm with you.
Riverview would have a hard job. Yeah,
because Riverside Albert's not paying for Elma's water either.
yeah, okay. Okay, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate the work that you guys do, you know, for all, we're challenging you guys on things. I really do appreciate the effort. And for administration, I know 46 days, you're doing a great job trying to get things going forward. And I believe that it will go forward as time goes on.
It will.
Thank
It's
you.
just gonna take patience and time from everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all very much.
Oh.
Appreciate you.
Chair?
Yeah, we have to make a motion.
We gotta make a motion to go to closed session. Councilor Lane.
I'd like to add something to the agenda of the closed session. Add 2 points of conversation to an existing closed section item, 68(1)B, personal information as defined in the Right to Information Protection of Privacy Act. So 2 points of conversation.
Pieces everywhere.
Okay, second for that. Votes.
You can go now.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You.
It's kind of letting go. All in favor?
Didn't even recognize it.